every time there's any criticism, pretty much the Houston management and the Houston mindset are the same mindset as the fans of Houston, where it's like any criticism towards them, and they freak out and say you're wrong and point out why you're wrong, and it doesn't matter what your argument is because you're wrong. And it's like, maybe take some criticism. It's the same reason they didn't get a tracer all of last season. Because it was like, nope, it was like, hey guys, you have a weakness. It's you don't have a good tracer. And it's like, nope, you're wrong. Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Broverwatch podcast. My name is Adam Cook, and as always, I'm joined here by Calder, Amos Wood.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
What?
What is this?
We're doing a podcast.
No, your HUD. What does your HUD do? What are you doing with your HUD?
Oh. It's really late. We're recording the podcast later than we should be.
Yeah, because we didn't forget.
We're recording it late because we didn't forget. We went, didn't forget. Let's do it later.
We didn't play the Storm Chaser mission.
Yep.
And play Overwatch a little too much today during the time when we should have been recording the podcast. But
we definitely didn't put the podcast off to get that beautiful new soldier skin and Hammond victory.
No, here's the thing.
Intro.
Is it putting it off if you forget?
That's some logic I don't want to think about right now. For those of you who don't know what the Broverwatch podcast is, it's a podcast where two friends who were friends in high school and then continued to do so on into the rest of their lives up until post-secondary education so far. The story has not finished yet.
Okay. Good thing you said the story's not finished. Because it sounded like you put a cap on it.
There are still blank pages in this book that are ready to be filled out.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a podcast also about the Overwatch League. And I'm Calder, Amos Wood. For those of you who don't know, we're lying. It's the other way, actually. This is choking me now, so I'm going to stop this.
Oh, you were doing something then.
Well, I did it because it is late.
Now here's the thing.
But I've stopped it because I've come to my senses.
Here's the thing. A long time ago when...
In a galaxy far, far away?
Gay. There was a podcast I used to be a part of. Maybe still am. And the host opposite of me would say things like, oh, don't do physical gags. It's a podcast.
Here's the thing, though. Did a physical gag, but I wasn't silent during it, okay? And I didn't reference it. So audio listeners would not know that I was doing a visual gag. But then you went, what are you doing there? And then it was bad because now audio listeners are going, oh, I can't see it. But they didn't even know before.
So this goes to my second point. Point number 2.
Do you not have point number 2?
Why is Katniss Everdeen not one of the heroes in Overwatch?
He didn't have a point number 2, and he panicked. So today we're going to be talking about a couple teams.
Wow, you're loud.
I was about to say off the top, but it's not really. Oh yeah, I am kind of loud. I was going to say off the top. It's not really off the top. It's more off the middle of the beginning. I want to apologize for last week's episode being late.
Don't fuck it up like that again.
It was about 85% my fault. The 15% was me not having internet on the day it was supposed to be uploaded. The other 85% was me straight up forgetting.
Why don't you have internet?
So, sorry that it was so late, to the point where it was basically irrelevant, but thank you to the people who did listen and watch. Appreciate that. This one will be up on time.
I like I'm talking shit about you like I've remembered that you were supposed to post it, or like I did anything. Because you produced the entire podcast.
No comment.
Why is there no comment? That's a truth.
Because I don't want to be like, yeah, I do.
Well, you do. And you treat me like trash, and that's fine.
Yep. And you treat me equally to my trash treating.
Well, I mean, if I treat you worse than you treat me, which is very bad.
Don't disagree, actually, believe it or not.
If you treat me worse, if I treat you worse than you treat me, no more podcasts because you'd break me.
I think I've actually treated you like the princess that you are.
And the P?
I've treated you like a queen. You didn't like that. I saw a little quiver in your lip. You were like, I don't like that.
You don't kiss me like a queen, do you?
No, absolutely not. So we're going to talk about some teams today from the past week of games. It was a week. It was a week.
I changed my battle ID on Blizzard.
There were only 2 close games this week.
Yeah, it was kind of a strange week. It was. I think it was the first week this season where it's kind of been like that.
I think we mentioned that last week as well. I think last week was kind of like that.
Yeah, a little less so, but
this week was very much dominant on one team or another.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about some teams.
It slightly reminded me of season 1, which had a lot of just absolute nut punchers of games.
Yeah, but I feel like this was more nut punchers of games than last season too, though.
Well, it's just more games.
Also, I lied. There were not 2 close matches. There were 3.
Valiant Atlanta, Boston Hangzhou,
and then
Philly London,
was
Dallas Paris.
Philly London was maybe close. Dallas Paris was actually, maybe there were a couple closer games than we thought. I was saying Valiant Gladiators.
Oh yeah,
that was an actual very close game.
Pretty good game. I always find it weird when they interview fans, because they interviewed some fans and they were like, "Oh, talk about the rivalry." I find that strange because that's not like a normal thing in sports.
No. Well, I think they interviewed them, 1, because it was the Battle of LA, and 2, because everyone knows Hydration Man, and everyone knows that one lady who seems to be a Valiant fan, but then also hardcore cheers for 5 other teams, and everybody made conspiracy posts saying that she was that she actually is a paid actor because she's always there and always cheering for every team.
Well, it sounds kind of like someone I know.
So the thing I found funny about that was they interviewed them after during halftime, right? Mm-hmm. And they went to Hydration Man, and Hydration Man was like, "Listen, I respect the other side, but we're winning, so we'll take LA. You guys can take Anaheim," which I guess was trash talk. But then they went to...
Here's the thing about that, though. Anaheim is where Disney World is, so fuck yourself if you don't want to go to Disney... Or I guess it's Disneyland, but...
Yeah.
New Star Wars park,
Oh,
baby.
my goodness. We're not going to talk about that. I'm going to go off on a tangent, and this is going to be I'm going to go off on a Tana Mojo, and this is going to be a 5-hour podcast. So then they went to the girl who was cheering for Valiant, or the Valiant fangirl or whatever, and they were like, "What do you have to say to that?" And instead of trash talk, she went, "From what I look at the scoreboard, it's 1-0. And I'm like, "Yeah, you're losing. Why'd you point at the scoreboard if you're losing?" And I guess what she was saying was "You're only up by 1. We tied the other map. We'll bring this back." But it sounded very much like.
But even then, it wasn't even a. I don't know. It was just stupid. A stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was a little strange. Sorry if we are a little tired. It is late. We made a mistake. Yeah, so that was weird. I guess we could talk about the Valiant now since we're already talking about the Valiant. I'll talk about the Valiant now.
Wait, are you going to talk about the Valiant?
I'm going to talk about the Valiant now. So earlier in the week, they faced off against my boys, the Atlanta Reign. And I was like, this week's going to be an easy clapper. Game against the Atlanta, or game against the Valiant, game against Washington. Easy clap in the bag.
Get back into rhythm after that week where you had a bit of an off week.
Yep, we'll bring Daco back in and crush. What happened? Oh, is Daco still not there? Oh, okay.
Daco Deadco.
No Daco, no win. Except here's the thing.
That's kind of true.
Also, FRD, you know FRD?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently it's pronounced fried.
Oh, yeah, I heard that.
Like
I
fried
heard,
chicken.
Hexagram say that.
Why'd you call them hexagrams?
Hexagram.
It's weird. It's like when you hear someone call your parent by their full name, and you're like, what?
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I didn't know we're both going to the principal's office now.
Or when, like, you go to Tom Hanks. No one calls him Thomas Hanks. That's weird. Don't call him hexagrams.
Timmy Hanks.
But yeah, Atlanta kind of pooped against Valiant, and they lost 3-2. It was a close match, but it shouldn't have been. That's the thing about that one. And yeah, it was kind of bad for Atlanta, but good for Valiant. Like, here's the thing. I was watching and I was like, I want Atlanta to win because I don't want Atlanta to lose, obviously, but at the same time, I want Valiant to get a win. Mm-hmm. But I was like, you can have your win later in the week against the Gladiators, which didn't happen. But yeah,
it's
I was reading about where Dako is.
Mm-hmm.
There's rumors that he benched himself because he's not happy with the flex healer role on the team right now.
Dogman.
And Kodak. He's just not happy with how that's being dealt with. I don't know whether it's he wants one person to always be like, my guess is he just wants one person to be on at all times and not switch around. And then another option is he just wants better ones.
Yeah. I could see wanting better ones. Because, not going to say Dogman and Kodak are bad, but they're slightly above league
also
average.
Very loud now.
They're probably slightly above
Oh, I
league
hate
average.
everything about it.
They're probably slightly above league average.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think... Like, they're not amazing, but they're not terrible.
My guess is he just wants one consistent.
Yeah.
And Dogman dies a lot.
Yeah, Dogman's a feeder. Did you hear about the trash talk thing with the Valiant fan? Where the Valiant fan yelled at him, or yelled Dogman's a feeder, and then Dogman stood up and then yelled something back at him.
Yeah, I forget what
he said. But not in an angry way. But
yeah, I like that. I like that kind of thing.
Atlanta's such a forgettable team, honestly.
How dare you say it?
I mean, they don't have a star. They're losing.
Baby Bay.
They're a bunch of losers. Yeah, Baby Bay was the 5th DPS on a good team.
Yeah, you literally went on a 59-minute rant 2 episodes ago about how marketable Baby Bay is.
Trash.
You just hate everything I like.
Yeah.
Also, update on the bowl cut situation. Dogman said that the bowl cut will be ready for their match against New York, which is the first match they have next week or this week.
So Friday the 19th, 3 days away, baby. As of recording this, baby. Probably past 2 days as of release.
Yep.
Got him.
Am I just
demoralizing you?
You're just you're ruining me. I had this passion, this fiery passion, this flare of love and light inside of me, and you've destroyed it.
We should probably talk about the event.
No, because we talked about it last week. I guess we'll talk about it a little bit. We'll talk about it at the end.
Okay.
Because I don't like interrupting the flow of the teams, because it's a pain in the butt cheeks while editing, and timestamp wise.
Alright, you go fuck yourself then, bitch.
Hey, you want to do any work? See, that's what I was avoiding. That's what I was avoiding when I said I don't like to say it.
Hey, here's the thing. I will, but if you start giving me the profits that you're obviously stealing.
Oh yeah, all the money
I'll start doing work. Now here's the thing. The Valiant played well.
Yeah.
They're getting better.
Space is so good.
Yeah, Space is very good. He's kind of returning to Season 1 form. Not quite there yet.
I watched him peeling for Izayaki, and I was like, oh man, these two together are amazing. What's happening with the rest of the team? KSF popped off.
Yeah. So hopefully the coming weeks will be kind to them. They play Washington next week, which should be fairly easy, and then Dallas and Seoul, which are going to be a little more difficult. The first homestand is coming up, which is exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
But another team kind of impressed this week.
Yes.
Even though they didn't win. And that was a green team that you like.
Yeah.
I need to start color coding them because there's so many.
I hate you and everything you stand for. Calder, of course, is talking about my boys, the Houston Outlaws.
Mm-hmm. They've got some fairly old men on the team. They're about age range of a senior citizen's home.
Here's the thing. Let me say this real quick, okay? Let me say this real quick about Houston. This week, they showed that they have the potential to be a really good to great team.
Mm-hmm.
And they were showing that, honestly, they might even have the potential to beat the Titan team, the Vancouver Titans.
Or when they have their midseason dip, the Vancouver Titanic.
Nice. That's actually funny. See, that's a good joke. They were showing that when they play to their strengths, and they play DPS heavy, and they play Sombra, they play Linkser on Widow, stuff like that, they have the potential to beat the Vancouver Titans.
Mm-hmm.
And then they played nothing but 3-3 against the best 3-3 team in the entire world.
Now, to be
Houston Outlaws. Wait, let me get this audio for the podcast. Houston Outlaws. Why? Why, boys? You showed that you have potential to you do good. Linkser popped off. Here's the thing. Linkser has really good days and then just okay days. He was having a great day against the Vancouver Titans. And what did you do? You pulled him out as he was hot. He was hot, and you pulled him out.
I saw a picture after the game, and it was his mouse literally melted.
Yes. Linkser popped off. Dante was killing it. They had Arhan in. Oh, yeah. Let me talk about that. Ramses really wanted us to talk about Arhan.
Mm-hmm.
Or he wanted to get my take
number
on
one. Ramses is not dancing at the party.
Here's the thing about playing Arhan. I said that I want them to play him and have him play meaningfully, but before the end of stage 2, and if not, get rid of him. He played
pretty much the entire game.
Yeah, and here's the thing. He played pretty well. He didn't impress. He didn't shine like crazy, but he did pretty well. Now, here's the thing about that. You could, I don't know, dude. Like, he's kind of just a sub Jake.
Yeah.
Because he was just on Brig pretty much the whole time. Was Genji for a little bit. Don't really remember him playing Genji much.
He didn't play Genji at all, so that's why.
No, he did play Genji.
No, he didn't.
I specifically remember him picking Genji, and then them going, oh, bringing out the Genji.
Well, here's the thing. In his profile, it says Brigitte, Tracer, Torbjorn, Pharah, Bastion, Wrecking Ball, Symmetra.
Interesting. Thought I saw him on Genji. Guess not. Here's the thing, too. Maybe he picked him in Spawn. That's definitely a thing that happened.
That's definitely what happened.
So Arhan, good for them bringing him out. Good for him standing his own against the Vancouver Titans. Wouldn't be surprised. This is what my guess of what happened. Okay, they go, guys, we're not gonna beat the Vancouver Titans. Let's play Arhan. Let's try some things, and we'll just try some things. Then they win first map, and then Flame behind the scenes goes, we can win this. Let's pull Linkser out, even though he popped off, and let's
wait. Is
play
Flame
nothing
coach,
but he's the GM. Tyrone
the GM
is the
doesn't
coach.
really deal with that.
Except here's the thing: it seems very obvious that Flame is heavily involved.
Well, then they need to figure that shit out, because you can't.
Here's the thing: you interrupted my impression.
I'm sorry.
Now I have to jump back into it. Guys, we just popped off doing what we're good at. We just did what we're good at, and we beat the Vancouver Titans.
Mm-hmm.
How about this? Crazy idea. let's pull out the players that just did the best, and let's not play what we're good at. Instead, let's play what the other team is best at and known for, so that they can demolish us very convincingly in the rest of the maps.
Yeah.
And then people criticize the team for it, and then Flame goes on a vast stream and blames everybody except him.
Now, can we talk about maps? Because Busan, there's a lot of variation. You can play a lot of DPS on Busan. Paris, also, you can play quite a bit. The second point is kind of a goat's point. So, right now, is what I'm saying. Eichenwald, pretty tanky map. And Rialto, literally the tankiest map. Now, would it have been better for them to run their heads into a wall with DPS characters? I was going to say yes. Did Flame or whoever make the decisions say, oh, I don't want to get flamed on Twitter for running DPS against the goats or against goats on Rialto or whatever? Probably. That's probably what happened. So they just ran goats instead. Not the right idea.
Dumb.
Yep.
Because here's the thing. Let me
finish.
Okay.
They have some defense because of the map pool. Like Jake was saying, if you don't know that Eichenwald and Rialto are tank heavy maps, then you probably don't really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's a kind of a fair defense.
See, Jake came at it right by like being like, guys, here's why, instead of going, everybody's dumb.
Yeah. So, did they have anything to lose by running DPS though? That's the thing, because you come into this map or this match, Houston Outlaws is the loser, unless they actually win. Because if they win, that's a surprise. But losing isn't a surprise. But the fact that they came out, they showed that they can play DPS against the goats. Or against the Titans, sorry. It just kind of let people, just run DPS. You're not losing anything.
Exactly. And here's the thing. During it, Monty was talking a lot about how, they just play your strength. That's your best chance. And then
just play your style.
And Doa was talking about, he's like, when they played goats on Paris, he was pretty much like, hey, maybe they're playing goats to surprise Vancouver because they're expecting them to play DPS. And I was like, maybe that works, but not on the second map. It's like, surprise, we're not doing what we did once. It's like,
yeah. And that we kind of obviously telegraphed was going to happen.
The main thing that bugs me about it isn't that they lost, because I was expecting a blowout. It's that they had a chance, and then they got rid of what they were doing when it was working, and started to do what they are known to be bad at. Yeah.
Because you're not losing anything. That's my biggest point here, is what do you lose by running DPS?
Yeah.
Nothing. They don't lose anything.
No one thinks you're going to win this, so try to do it in the way that you are best at.
Yeah.
Run Arhan on Genji. Run Linkser on Widow. Run Jake on Junkrat or Pharah. I don't care. Run Dante on Sombra or Tracer. I don't know. Try things. Things.
Because they probably get a couple more chances throughout the season to play Vancouver. But you don't get a lot of chances to play each team, so you might as well try some shit against a team that's really not going to change at all. And then if you get into the playoffs, maybe you have some scouting information on them.
Yeah.
So.
Final thing. It's very, and a lot of people were saying this, it's very hard to be a Houston fan. Not because, they win, they lose, they get your hopes up, they lose. It's not that.
They lose.
Well, you would know because you were a Shock fan last season. But
yeah, but I don't pretend like they're good like Houston fans. I didn't pretend like they were good. No, I didn't.
Yep.
No,
But I also know that Houston's not the best team. But the thing is, it's not hard to be a Houston fan because they keep losing, because I can cheer for a losing team. Clearly, I've cheered for many losing teams.
That's a sign of a loser.
But the reason it's hard to be a Houston fan is because of management and coaching.
You mean Flame?
Not just Flame.
Flame's the most annoying one, though.
But it's like also some players sometimes. It's just the PR of Houston. Because every time, this like highlighted it, but every time there's any criticism, pretty much the Houston management and the Houston mindset are the same mindset as the fans of Houston. Where it's like any criticism towards them, and they freak out and say you're wrong and point out why you're wrong, and it doesn't matter what your argument is because you're wrong. And it's like, maybe take some criticism. It's the same reason they didn't get a tracer all of last season. Because it was like, nope, it was like, hey guys, you have a weakness. It's you don't have a good tracer. And then it's like, nope, you're wrong. And it's like, no, but that's a big weak. No, you're wrong though. That's the thing about that. And it's the same thing here where it's like, hey, just play what you're good at. Actually, guys, you're wrong. We made the right decision. It's like, did you win? No, but we're right.
Did you kind of prove anything?
No.
You didn't prove anything by playing goats.
The only thing they proved was that they know how to make bad decisions, because they pulled a player that was popping. Here's the thing. Paris isn't the best Widow map. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Paris is a good Widow map. But if Linkzer's like hot and being like, man,
he was on Soldier on Buston, so like,
put him on Soldier, put him on
Soldier.
Just, it's so frustrating because they can't take any criticism. And I love the team. I have a t-shirt and I have a jacket from the team and I have a custom jersey from the team. I love the team.
The jersey says, kick me.
Nope.
Kick me 69.
What my jersey says is, take some criticism. Take some criticism is what my jersey.
I'm sorry.
Houston, you just need to learn to take criticism, okay? You need to learn that just because someone says something about your team doesn't mean they think you're bad, doesn't mean, although that might be true, but doesn't mean they think you're bad, doesn't mean they think that you're not right for your job or that you can't improve. They're just saying there's a problem and you should address it.
Yeah.
Like, why did they sub Linkzer out for Cool Matt?
I don't know.
Because not only has Cool Matt not played this match, but he hadn't played in the past, 3 matches. Well, the whole team hadn't played in the past, 3 weeks. But anyway, this game just bugged me so bad.
Now, let's talk about another team that's...
Yeah. Houston Rant done.
Yeah. Another team that's been on a bit of a weak losing streak. And I'm not going to say a bit because it's actually a big one. The Guangzhou Charge.
Holy.
They've lost 23 maps in a row. Since, when was that? Week 4? March 9th was the last time they won a map. And it was the first map they played against the Gladiators. Then the Gladiators took the next 3.
Yep.
And right now they're sitting in the last place of the Stage 2 standings at 0-4 with a -16 map record. Now this is a team that the stage before was in 11th place, kind of just out of playoffs.
And surprised people, impressed people.
Yeah. And if they had a couple maps go their way, they probably could have been in playoffs. They were only 4 maps out of stage playoff contention.
Yeah.
So they've fallen apart, and it's rough. It's been a rough schedule for them. They played the Shock twice. They played the Shock twice, and then they played. Who was the other team? The Gladiators. Now the Gladiators are playing well, but this team has been very poor. I guess is how you would say that.
They just seem very disorganized.
Yeah. So, and nothing's really changed, I don't think. I don't think any players have come or gone or are just sitting out. I don't follow them very much just because there's too many teams to follow all of them. But I'm just slightly confused at what's happening here. And like, it's not even like they're really playing close matches. They're getting crushed. They got crushed by San Francisco. I'm like 90% sure they got crushed by Gladiators. I'm just going to check. It was pretty much a crush.
Yeah.
But from the Gladiators, it's one of the weirder things that's happened this season, and no one seems to care on Reddit, because that's really the only place that we can talk about shit about Overwatch League.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Just, what do you think? What are you thinking?
I kind of didn't really think about Guangzhou at all.
Me too.
I was just like, they're kind of just the team that impressed people, and they're doing pretty well. And then someone was like, hey, they haven't won the past 23 maps. And I was like, since when were they doing so bad? And it's like a while now. And I was like, what? Where'd this come from? And like, it's not that they're doing bad, it's that they're doing absolutely horrendous. Like, they're not close at all, and it's clearly some sort of disorganization, because they have good players. They proved it last. Like, here's the thing. Last stage was goats heavy. This stage is goats heavy, but you can play DPS. And people were saying that this team would do better if you could play more DPS. So, now, if they just played goats, then if you just think about it, then they would be in about the same spot they were last season, or last stage, because that's what they did last stage, and they were pretty good. And then, according to everyone's logic, if they played DPS, they'd be even higher. But they're lower, obviously. Now,
let's talk about schedules, because they started with
bad
Gladiators. Then they played the Titans in the last week of stage. Then they played the San Francisco Shock and Paris. Now, Paris is the worst team they've played since they started this terrible streak. So they played the Shock twice, Titans, Gladiators twice, and Paris. That's a hard schedule.
Yeah. So I stand by what I said, that they're doing horrendous, but it's not like incomprehensible what they've done.
Yeah, and they should have at least won a map. Like, they shouldn't have gotten 4-0'd by Paris.
Yeah. So,
but, I don't know. And Shu was a potential Rookie of the Year, like early Rookie of the Year candidate.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. From what I've watched of their games, there's a kind of some crappy ult management. And they don't... It's just, like, not clicking. Which is strange, that it's just all of a sudden stopped clicking. Because the meta is not that difficult to play in.
Yeah.
So...
It is very strange. I don't know what... Like, there's not really any roster changes they should make, because their team is... Like, it's full of players that are good. It's just something about communication or, like, maybe coaching.
They are a slightly mixed team. And they have been... I think they've been playing Kib quite a bit.
Yeah, they've mostly been playing him now.
Next week they play Guangzhou, who is kind of a sneaky good team this stage.
Yeah,
they're middle of the pack.
I hesitate to call Guangzhou good just because everybody was like super high on them early stage 1, and then they kind of dipped down a lot.
We both were in our preseason power rankings, but
like, I mean, even early stage 1, everyone was like, "Man, they're killing it. They're the best team in the league." And then and then they lost one game, and people were like, "Oh, no, they're not."
Yeah.
But now they're actually doing well. But you know.
So we'll see how they play. Guangzhou plays against Hangzhou this coming Saturday on 420. Pretty fucking dank, if you ask me. Oh, they play Friday, but it's when the fuck do they play? Friday, but it's like a 12 a.m. here game. So they play Friday night. Probably cross over into 420. Pretty dank. Smoke it up. Smoke weed every day. Snoop Dogg, smack a bitch. Am I right?
Yeah, so Guangzhou is like...
To talk about another team with a strangely bad trajectory. The Toronto Defiant. Now, they've been losing.
They were top 5 last stage.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's statistically correct, but everyone generally agreed that they were top 5.
Correct. Top 5 last stage was probably Vancouver, New York, Shock, Toronto,
Philly.
Yeah. Begrudgingly.
Technically, Atlanta was above Shock. But that doesn't.
Atlanta's a fucking bitch team. Can't even keep their superstar. How many superstars does the Shock have?
I was about to...
Oh, too many to count. I have too many for my fingers.
I was about to hang up the call as a joke, but then I realized that would screw up all the formatting.
So Toronto has not been playing well.
No.
Now, this stage, they've lost to Boston. They've lost to Philly. And they've lost to Dallas.
3 teams that are beatable. You could argue they're at about the same level.
I wouldn't say they have a hard schedule.
Nope.
At all, actually. So, what's going on?
I don't know. And here's the thing. They brought in I'm 37. I think it must be a communication thing. And maybe Stellar was a bigger part in shot calling than initially thought. Yeah. It's got to be that because, like, I'm 37's been doing really well.
Yeah. If you look at his stats, he's
very
top in a lot of them.
And, which, by the way, just going to real quick interject. Apparently, Muma's, like, first in most stats for Wrecking Ball, which I was not aware of, which is kind of cool.
Well, I think it's because they're per 10 minutes. So Aiming's played like 20 times the amount of time on Wrecking Ball. So his stats are a little more averaged out. Muma's played like 30 minutes or something on Wrecking Ball.
I'm going to check that, but I will say this. I love Aming. I'll say it. But here's the thing.
Well,
I do think that people overrate Aming a little bit just because he plays Wrecking Ball the most, so people just say he's the best, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's people in the league who are better than him, is all I'm saying.
Muma's played 48 minutes on Wrecking Ball.
Okay,
Aming has played
5, almost 6 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe there is some... yeah.
It's just like, per 10-minute stats can tell you stuff, but they're also a little tricky sometimes, like... Remember I was doing that thing where I'd give them all scores and shit?
Yeah.
And then I looked at it last season and like Snillo was number 1 because he'd played an hour.
Yeah.
And popped off. Like he'd come in for a map every once in a while and he'd pop off.
But here's the thing. If every time you're brought in you pop off, then I think it's fair.
Yeah, but it's just like not statistically valid, really. Well, I mean, I'm telling you. That's not a debatable point.
Well, here's the thing. What I'm saying is, if they bring in Snillo once in a while, but every time they bring him in, he pops off, I think it's fair to say that, like...
I know, but you can't really compare him to Carpe.
Oh, I see.
You can't be like Snillo and Carpe, or Snillo's better than Carpe.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Anyway... Toronto's been kind of sucking shit.
Yeah.
And they've lost to Philly, which is kind of a big oof because they were better than Philly before. They lost to Dallas, which a point about this Dallas team. I think the trade was pretty good for both of them because Dallas went 2-0 this week against Toronto and Paris. Now, Toronto been playing weaker. Paris has kind of improved. Would you be willing to say that? They've kind of been playing better? Because I guess they can actually use half their roster now.
I'm saying that because they've been playing Shadowburn more, and they're able to do so, they've been doing better. Shadowburn is kind of carrying them a little bit.
Yeah. So Toronto doesn't seem like next week they play the Shock. That's going to be a tough game for them. Or I should say this week they play the Shock. After that, they play Paris again and Vancouver. So they've got a rough stage. Like, I don't think they're making stage playoffs.
No, definitely not.
Charge definitely aren't. Houston, let's see where Houston is in the stage. They've only played one game. Oh, I guess this was their first week.
Yeah, it was their first week.
So
someone made a post about that. It was like Dallas will be playing their second game this upcoming week.
Mm-hmm.
And New York will be playing their sixth. That's a little
Houston
weird.
will be playing their second game. But yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we can't really say anything about Houston. Valiant.
Well, Houston faces Philly, Shanghai, Seoul, Dallas, Guangzhou, London. That's a doable stage. If they fix the trash that they pulled this week, they could figure it out. But
And Valiant have a chance. They're playing Washington, Dallas, Seoul, and Chengdu. So if they can beat everyone, because they've been playing better. That's the thing. We were talking about this before. They've been playing better. If they lose to Seoul, have pretty good map records against the other ones, there's a chance they make the stage playoffs after an abysmal stage one.
Yeah. It's pretty much for Valiant to have any chance of making like the season playoffs, they need to keep improving at the rate that they have in stage 2.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they should also speed up that rate.
Yeah, they should speed up very much.
And they need to change something on that team. I don't know what, but they need to change something.
Is Toronto in a bad place for league standings?
I think they're fine for league standings for now.
Yeah, they've got an even map record. They're one game over 500. And they're pretty much middle of the pack.
If they can figure out their comms or communication or whatever has been changed, then I think they'll be fine. Because I'm 37 has been popping off, so if he can communicate better, then that should be good.
And he's also a big, absolute unit of a man.
And, like, he's brought a lot. Here's the thing. We've talked a lot about how Toronto's a pretty good team, but they don't really have the fan base because they're kind of just a little bit bland. I think I'm 37 has already and will continue to do wonders for them.
Yeah, marketing-wise.
It kind of sucks that once they finally have a marketable player, they start to suck. Because it would be much better if people were like, I like this player. Does the team do well? Oh, nice. I'll cheer for them. Instead of, oh, I like this player. Does the team do well? Oh, they're doing really bad. I'm not going to cheer for them.
Yeah. So hopefully people still attach to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've got Shock is a rough week to have that's your only game. So maybe they can pick up a map or two and
maybe
not get destroyed. And then Titans right after Shock, and then Paris. It's gonna be a rough ride for them. I just noticed something though, and this is a completely different topic. Are you done talking about Toronto and Houston, Charge, Valiant, all that?
I have one last thing to say.
Okay.
Basically, so the 4 teams we talked about were Guangzhou, Valiant, Houston, and Toronto. For all 4 of those teams, if they want to have any chance, they need to look inward, figure out what's wrong, and change it very fast. I think Houston and Toronto have a little bit more time than Guangzhou and Valiant. but
Yeah.
still.
Guangzhou and Valiant need to do it now. It's actually kind of Houston kind of does too.
Yeah, Houston is barely in the UF time category.
Yeah.
But like,
But Toronto can have a down stage and still pop up in the playoffs, like we saw it with London last year,
yeah,
where they had, I think stage 3 was their down stage, and then they came back.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's not undefensible by Toronto, and they did have a pretty major roster change. So
Pretty much Valiant just needs to get wins because their map differential is already not that bad. They just need to get wins.
yeah.
All right, I'm done with that.
Anyway, I'm looking at league playoffs here.
Okay.
So league playoffs, we kind of know who the first 2 seeds are. New York, like division leaders. I mean, New York and Vancouver.
Yeah.
Whoever's 1 and 2 will be decided by map record. Doesn't really matter that much, honestly. Then we've got San Francisco in 3rd.
That's going to be very, unless Super goes on a baby rage tirade in the team and like breaks all the
Super
computers,
actually turns into a girl.
Then, well,
no, like he has a whole like inner finding thing, and he runs away for a couple weeks, and then has a sex change. I don't think they're gonna. Is that too far?
well, they have Smurf.
Yeah, but there's
I know.
difference.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I think San Fran's a lock for 3, and even if they drop, I think they make it easy.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're gonna have an easier schedule throughout the rest of the year than they did that first stage. So
Yeah.
I don't see them picking up a lot more wins, like maybe 3 more wins, 4 more wins throughout the rest of the season. Then we've got
Do you mean
Gladiators.
losses?
Oh, losses, yeah.
I was like, then they don't make it.
Then they are bad. Then we've got Gladiators, which is kind of surprising.
I think Gladiators are going to make it into the stage playoffs. Or sorry, season playoffs.
Yeah, they've been sneakily getting wins. Like they're 4-0 this stage, and it didn't click in my head that they were 4-0
Yeah.
because I just look at the scores because I can't watch every game. I look at scores and be like, "Oh wow, Gladiators did well."
Yeah.
And just not realize that they're doing actually very well. Second this stage behind New York.
Yeah, pretty much what they did was had a lackluster beginning of stage 1. Just enough lackluster to miss out on stage playoffs. So people
Just enough until Decay can play.
Yeah, and then now second half of stage 1 and now in stage 2, they've just been doing very well. So I think Gladiators, I don't want to say are a lock, but are pretty safely in the season playoffs.
Unless, again, something happens to the team.
Yeah.
Then we've got Dallas, sorry.
That's
Got a
surprising.
distracting text message. That is very surprising. Especially since they traded RCK, and I guess they picked up 2 wins this week, so
And one
they
of
would
them
have
was
been
a 4-0.
4-3. Yeah, so they've kind of jumped up.
Well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Because they have less.
Games played.
Yeah, and they have less map wins. Oh yeah, I guess it's just I was gonna point out how some teams have the same amount of wins and less map wins, but it's a loss, like a game loss thing. Like Toronto has 2 more game losses. Okay, never mind. Ignore everything that I just did. I think it's just surprising to see Dallas up there because like they were okay in stage 1 and they've been doing pretty good this stage.
Yeah.
Like it's just hard to get a read on them. So I'm surprised that they're in 5th.
They're kind of another sneaky team that I didn't really expect. And then Fusion, kind of riding off the coattails of the last stage. They beat Toronto, lost to London, a London team that's not great, I don't think anyone would say. Lost to New York, beat Florida. Like, these wins are
not impressive.
Not impressive.
And it's not like they're winning decidedly. It's like they're
Yeah.
just winning.
Like, they dropped a map to Florida. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And you think you're one of the best teams in the league? You tied a map with London, and you only picked up one map with London. London's not doing well, and we'll get to that in a... Well, as I say that, I look at the standings, and they're in 8th.
Yeah, I know. I just noticed that too. London's not doing great.
Like, here's the thing. You talk to a London fan, and they're like, but we're the champions. And it's like, but you're not playing like the champions, and you didn't really play like champions in the first season either. You snuck into the playoffs.
And you had a really good day.
Yeah, and you had a really good 2 weeks after you had a month to practice your Brigida strats. Like, I don't know. London's not a championship team right now.
Not right now, yeah.
So,
yeah, Philly...
They're in 8th, but what does that really mean? They've just played more games than half the league. So
yeah. So like we said, New York, Vancouver, easy lock. San Fran, easy lock. Gladiators probably safe in 4th, 5th, or 6th. Dallas and Philly, I think, could both easily drop out.
Yeah, Dallas and Philly could go to the play-in tournament.
I think.
Okay.
Are we gonna go through the whole standings?
No.
Okay.
I'm just gonna pick out a couple more surprising teams.
Because I was gonna say we should just list who we think has a chance of getting into the stage playoffs.
The stage playoffs?
Or sorry, season playoffs. I keep saying stage. But as for the play-in tournament, what do they have to be in 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th to be in the play-in tournament?
7th to 12th.
Okay.
So from Boston to Seoul.
Okay. Well, so who... let's just go through them. Do you think Boston has a chance to make it to season playoffs?
Yeah.
Okay. Agreed. Do you think London has a chance to make it to season playoffs?
Yeah. Probably not in 8th, but yeah.
Like, you think lower?
Yeah, I think probably 10th or 11th.
Do you think Toronto has a chance?
Yeah.
I think a chance.
A chance. I don't think they're really close to a lock, but a chance.
Yeah. Chengdu. Chengdu, I think, if they keep playing the way they have been playing, I think that they could definitely be... I think they'll stay about where they are.
And I think the meta is only going to shift more towards DPS, different strategies at different points, stuff like that.
Yeah. And
so that'll favor them.
Yeah. If anybody watches Avast streams that he does with ZP and a bunch of other people, he has his power rankings or whatever, but he has lines next to Chengdu because he's pretty much they're the gatekeepers of the league. It's like teams that have good goats are above Chengdu. Teams that have bad goats are below Chengdu. Mm-hmm. And so I think Chengdu is basically going to stay in 10th, maybe go up to 9th or 8th, maybe drop to 11th or 12th. But I think they're safe where they are.
Yeah. They're probably, weird to say this, but they're the most average team in the league, and that's kind of their biggest strength too.
Yeah. It's weird how we were it's weird. I think that Chengdu is more of a lock than Toronto and London, even though I think Toronto and London might, in general, be better teams. Yeah. Just because I think Chengdu has
steady.
the power.
It's a steady team.
Yeah, they have the power to stay where they are, whereas London and Toronto have the potential to drop, I think.
Yeah.
Atlanta, as much as I hate to say it, I think they have a lot of potential to drop.
Here's the thing. With these last two spots, it's kind of a crapshoot at this point.
I think Seoul, honestly, Seoul has a better chance of making season playoffs than Atlanta, Toronto, or London.
I could see that. Especially with this new roster they've been running, because they haven't been playing Fleta or Fissure.
It's weird that they haven't been playing Fleta. I understand why they haven't been playing Fissure, because Marvel's been doing really well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're when they first started this team as like their starting roster, everyone's like, why are you playing the B team? Flashbacks to season 1. And then they did way better than their A team.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, keep playing them, please.
At this point in the season, because we're about a third into the season, anywhere from Atlanta to, I think, Valiant can get into stage playoffs or season playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, honestly, it's still anybody's game because I could see any of these teams all of a sudden doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Florida has no chance.
They have no chance.
There's still a part of me.
Fucking mess of a team.
There's still a part of, like, honestly, I was watching Mayhem Academy face off against Fusion Uni, by the way, broke the streak. Mayhem Academy is, like, a lot of people were saying that people are overreacting by, like, Mayhem Academy doing well and then Florida Mayhem doing poorly. But, like, whether it's overreacting or not, no one can, like, in confidence say that Florida Mayhem is better than Mayhem Academy. There's no way.
Yeah, and you don't really want that to be a thing.
No. Like, Mayhem Academy is very good. And I think that if Florida keeps on the trajectory that they have been, Florida, if they have brains, should literally just bring up their academy team.
Mm-hmm. Who's the owner of the Mayhem?
I think it's Bare Hands. I think it's Bare Hands.
No, he's like GM or something.
Okay, that's what I thought you meant.
No, I mean like the org that owns
I think
them.
it's Misfits.
Yeah. Because they need to fucking fire everyone.
Yeah.
Like, this is... It's not even like they're competitive either. That's the thing. And it's not even like things vaguely make sense. Like, Washington makes sense. You take one of the main supports from the XL, their backup main tank from the XL, Corey, who's a great DPS player, a bunch of other pretty good players, and you stick them on a team.
At least there's some logic there. They're not doing well, but at least there's some logic there.
Mayhem, and somehow they have the same record down to the map record, which is strange to me. But Mayhem, you have guys. You just have a bunch of guys on a team.
You have a bunch of guys and say a player.
And then you think they're just like being Koreans gonna help? Like, what is happening?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people talk a lot about how teams are they're just scared to try. Like, mainly when they're talking about Huck and the Boston Uprising. How it's like, most teams are scared to scout new talent in different regions. But Boston, it will do it. Florida is the prime example of just being afraid to find new talent, and instead they just go, we Korean, we win. And then they just sign a bunch of Koreans, and it's like, no, you also have to have a good team and good coaching and good management.
And at least Washington, like, their GM, Kate, who people really railed on her, and there are some good reasons to.
Yeah, some. Yeah.
And some of the reasons are also out of her hands, like the budget thing is true, which I still have no idea if it is. Then that's not her fault, but at least they're changing GMs. And maybe we'll see a couple moves come in for Washington to make them a little more competitive, and they climb up, or at least get a couple more wins. But
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she's leaving because...
it's like a mental health issue.
Okay.
But, I mean...
Honestly, and...
they're still switching.
They did a dumb segment on the desk about it. It was like, how should the Valiant and the Washington Justice improve? Because they're both not doing very hot right now. And Bren was like, swap Corey and Kareev. Sideshow asked Bren, if you were the GM of Washington, what would you do? And he's like, I would trade Corey for Kareev. I think it would be beneficial for both teams. And then Bren was like, wait, are you telling me where would you put Kareev? on flex support or DPS? And Bren's like, DPS. And it's like, you genuinely think that Kareev is a better DPS than Corey? And he's like, no. And Sideshow's was like, what? So as the GM of Washington, you want to trade away your best player for a not as good player? And he's like, but he speaks Korean.
It's like, okay.
And it's like, well, first of all, dumb. That's dumb. But second of all, I guess, because like they showed some comms of Washington, and Corey was like, because he sits at the end, he was like leaning to everybody, and he was like, "Hey guys, should I just play Junkrat at the?" I think it was on Rialto, and he was like, "Should I just play Junkrat to start this and kind of like rain bombs down on them, get some like damage on the shields and stuff, and then swap out?" And then all of them kind of looked at him and they were like, no Junkrat. So, and then they just talked to each other. And then you just see Corey going, okay. And it's like, he's literally just he's playing solo queue. He's literally just doing whatever and carrying his team.
Yeah, it's a weird team that, needs to change a little bit, and I think if they change a little bit, like going all Korean probably couldn't hurt, just because it seems like that's what the players want to play in. Like Giannis and Ark are from all Korean teams.
Give Corey a better home, and
give him to the Shock. We need DPS.
No, honestly, where would Corey be good? Well, no, because here's the thing. Like we were talking about before, they have Lynx, or they have I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Houston's
give them
kind of a fucking.
You know what? Give them to Valiant.
Honestly, yeah.
Like what Bren was saying, I agree, but I don't think Kareev is the. I don't think Kareev is the answer.
Trade Bunny and Kareev for Corey.
Sure.
I think you could get a yes from Washington for that.
Yeah. Honestly, that would be great, because that gives Washington more options, and then Valiant has a really good DPS. I don't know.
You could do Izzyaki for Corey?
Don't get rid of Izzyaki.
Yeah, that's kind of true. I don't know.
No. I think the Bunny Kareev for Corey trade, I think, is honestly not too far-fetched.
Yeah, and maybe throw some cash in it.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. But, yeah. So we gave our thoughts on how to fix Valiant. We gave our thoughts on how to fix Justice. Thoughts on how to fix Florida. Get better.
I have one... We should talk about the patch today. What happened in the game today.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a patch.
There was.
Do you have it on your thing, or are you going to pull it up? Or do you care?
I remember it.
Okay, so Reaper and Symmetra got buffed. Reaper, his cooldown for Shadow Step, it's pretty much a Shadow Step buff, which is needed.
Yeah. I was like, shoot, Reaper buff, and then it was like, don't worry, they're just making the worst ability in the game, not the worst ability in the game.
So Shadow Step's faster, it can be used in air.
That's cool.
He is invisible. Like, they basically changed the entire thing.
They just made it good.
Usable. You can now disable Graviton Surge with a Steel Trap. So, I guess if she's shooting Grav and she steps in a trap, then it's, like, canceled? I think that's what this means.
Oh, I think it means you can't shoot Grav while in a trap.
Oh, okay.
That would be my guess, which makes sense.
Teleporters and placed things are not blocked by what the fuck are those called? Railings and shit like that. Players continue looking the same direction, which is when they go through a teleporter, which is like, that should have been a thing. I didn't even notice that was a thing though. Projectile speed for Junkrat is increased, which honestly, this is kind of a nerf, because it
makes you have to get used to his arc again.
And it also nerfs how the mines can be, or like the grenades can be used. because it reduces how many times they can bounce. So you can't like shoot them under the card and have them bounce a couple times and then go in.
Yeah.
So I don't really know why.
It's not a buff or a nerf. It's kind of an adjust.
But it's
more of a nerf than a buff.
I don't think it was needed. That's the only thing.
I think it was their answer to Junkrat's like direct hits all of a sudden being insane. Because they buffed his direct hits and they were like so much damage. So I think this is them just being like, yeah, they do so much damage, but you also need to be more precise. You can't just be like, ah, like flinging it around, shooting wherever.
Yeah, I get that. And then the Archives event started, which is Storm Rising. The Havana map is kind of amazing.
It's kind of rad.
I think we both think it's going to be a hybrid map.
Yeah.
That's kind of the vibe we get. And it also makes sense because the last one was Escort. I don't think they're going to do another Escort.
No.
And we also just got a 2CP. We just got a control point in Busan, so probably a hybrid map.
Which are my favorite maps. Hybrid maps are almost always the best ones.
Mm-hmm. And
King's Row, Eichenwald,
Numbani. Fuck. Not Dorado. What's that last one? Isn't there 4 of each?
There is another one. Shoot, what is it?
Oh god, I'm so bad at typing. Might be a little late, huh?
Oh, what is it?
Blizzard World.
Blizzard.
Hollywood.
And Hollywood's the one I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm. Blizzard World's fucking trash.
Other than Blizzard World, those are all pretty much all my favorite maps.
Havana looks like it'll be extremely fun. There's a lot of
corners,
flanks, corners. There's so much. Like, it's going to be hard to play because it's just going to be like shit's coming from everywhere and you can't really see it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be so fun to attack on, I think. And then fun to defend to a point once you learn how to defend it.
Yeah.
So excited for that.
This looks like more of a map that'll be fun to figure out rather than what Paris was, which was,
it's just kind of a mess.
Just bad.
Hey, welcome to Paris. It's just kind of a mess.
And like Blizzard World, like it's kind of obvious how you hold it. It's like there's 2 high ground points and then you just fall back to point. And then what was the other one that was recently released? Rialto,
Busan?
I guess. Oh, Busan. Busan. I mean, Busan's King of the Hill, so it's literally just go to the point.
Different.
But Rialto. Like it's.
I think that's one of the more liked maps.
Yeah, it is. And the thing with that one is it's just hold the corners.
Yeah.
This one seems like there's corners. There's a lot of high ground because Rialto doesn't have much high ground, even though it has corners. But this one
there's
seems
a lot of secret passages, a lot of flanks. Yeah. So because they could cuck us and cut off part of the map like they did with Retribution.
Probably a bit of it'll be cut off, but
I don't know. I'm excited. Looks amazing. The whole environment's great. The Maximilian storyline is great. Who's the guy at the end of the thing?
Whoa, no spoilers. You never know who's watching.
Well,
there's a guy at the end. That's all we'll say.
If you like the game, you should have played it already.
But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, my guess is defenders, at least near the end, will. Well, okay. Checkpoints are there's a very clear cap point area near the beginning, where you'll obviously cap the point, and then you kind of go into the building, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'm guessing at the end of that is clearly a checkpoint.
Yeah. And then it's a short little track to the final point.
Yeah. My guess is that, I guess it's kind of a castle looking thing. I'm guessing that defenders will spawn in there, and the final place will, like, that it ends is in that castle bit.
Yeah, it definitely is.
But my thing is, it's usually cap one thing, checkpoint one thing. Never mind. It's cap one thing, one checkpoint, and then the final. That's 3. Never mind. So that makes sense. Boom. We figured it out.
Genius.
We're geniuses. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening to this episode of the podcast. We appreciate it. If you want to check out our social medias, you can follow us on Twitter at the Broverwatch. You can follow me on Twitter at I'm a Dumb Cook. And you can follow Calder on Twitter at Calder_100. You can visit our website at thebroverwatch.com. And other than that, we hope you have a wonderful time and a good time. If you have exams and stuff to do, hopefully we didn't distract you too much. Maybe even we helped you focus on studying. I don't know.
Probably not.
Some people listen to podcasts while they study.
Kind of annoying, though.
Not going to disagree with that. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Love you. Appreciate you. And we'll catch you next time. Have a good one.
Bye-bye, baby. Bye-bye, baby.
Don't like anything about it.
Okay, bye.
That was funny.